Hello guys, welcome back. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back. We're 2 months into the hockey season, so I wanted to touch base and do another hot and not, cards that are up, cards that are down, and do that kind of show. So we're going to take a look at market movers and go through all that stuff. But before that, I wanted to give a quick story that was pretty funny how these things work, and it piggybacks off of the last video where I was talking about building relationships and getting to know some of the collectors in your city and whatever, just forming these relationships and building rapport and what have you. So I was online a few nights ago looking for something. I'm since all this PSA stuff, it's really sort of thrown a wrench in a good chunk of my plans. So I was just browsing, trying to figure something out. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna have to send in a little bit higher end cards to be graded to make it more cost effective. There's a weird spot in the middle when you have your $60 to $100 cards. You can't pay $100 to send that card to PSA. It's not going to work. So you got to go a bit above that. Anyways, I was looking and I found this guy. So I found Jonathan Toews. I'm from Winnipeg. Jonathan Toews from Winnipeg. And we all know Jonathan Toews is in a really weird situation. I don't know what's going on. There were a few reasons I bought it. Number one, because if I keep it for my PC, that's no big deal. That's cool. Like I'll gladly hold on to a Jonathan Toews card. The other thing is if heaven forbid he wasn't able to play again and announce his retirement, this is going to be a really desirable card. So I thought there might be an opportunity there. At the same time, if he comes back and plays, his card hasn't seen any sort of increase. It's fallen down. The pricing's a little bit all over the place. I actually paid a small premium for this one because it was in really good condition. But even if he comes back and plays, I do see a spike in this card coming. How extreme, I don't know. But anyways, I just thought that it was a good opportunity, along with, like I said, the condition of the card was really good, and there is a grading opportunity there too if I wanted to sort of make that play. But we started chatting more, and he said that he had these other cards that he was looking to get rid of, and I said, sure, like I'll have a look at him. He sent me pictures. They're all immaculate condition, so much like the Toews. And I said, sure, like I'm pretty sure I'll buy those cards. We set up a time, and I went on Sunday, yesterday actually, met him at a restaurant, and I made these purchases. Turned out to make the purchases. I wasn't positive I was going to make them, but I was pretty sure. And the first time I've been in a restaurant too in like a year since this COVID thing, like last March. And I planned on getting in and buying the cards and getting out, but I ended up hanging out with him and having a beer. So it was sort of weird sitting in a restaurant. I haven't done that in a year and a bit. But anyways, so the cards that he had were a Patrice Bergeron. So this is a pop 27 of a PSA 10, and the card is in immaculate condition. So I've looked at all the corners, all the edges, had a glance at the face. I'm gonna have to look at the surfaces again just to make sure that there's nothing crazy there, but it looks like a 10 ball. So I mean, super happy with that. The other one that I bought was Kucherov off of him, again, just immaculate condition, and then a Steven Stamkos. So I'm going through editing my video. This is like a flashback. I screwed up. I didn't even give the whole point of the story. I got sidetracked with all the junk I was saying. But the individual who I bought these cards off of, he's the same guy who I bought the Alexander Ovechkin off of that I sent in and got a PSA 10. So that speaks to the conditions of the cards. And, this guy pack-pulled everything. He did it all himself. And we had a good time, talking. And he had questions about PSA. He has some really, good vintage cards to send in. He has a Mario. He has a Wayne that he knows isn't in great shape. But some cards that he wants to send in, and he has no idea how to do it. So I'm going to help him out with that, and at least give him some guidance. And at the same time, I'm building rapport because if he wants to sell stuff, I certainly want to be the guy who he comes to and says, hey Aaron, I'm looking to sell these. I just want to throw them to you or offer them up to you before I offer them up to someone else. And it's very likely that I will be buying a good portion of whatever it is that he wants to sell. But again, these relationships just really important to foster, and I think it's beneficial for both parties. It's really a win-win. I'm going to help him out with the PSA stuff, and in turn, if there's stuff that he's selling, he's going to come to me and ask me if I want it so I can take first crack at it. But that was the point of the story. Now I got to edit this into the video because I'd screwed it up, and then back to whatever I'm saying. So with the Toews and the Kucherov, I think that there's an opportunity in players who are hurt and players who are getting forgotten about. We're seeing it even through COVID when teams are off for a week and they've had their lockdowns, you know, that we've all seen in Dallas, in Jersey, and everyone else who's had it. The card prices have fallen. Now, Nikita Kucherov isn't any worse of a player. Jonathan Toews isn't any worse of a player, but you're actually seeing a fall. So it's not like the card is holding steady. So I think that creates a buying opportunity. Remember, a lot of people do this wrong. They want to buy the guys who are on the way up, and we're going to look at those guys like Austin Matthews. It'd be great to have an Austin Matthews card, but you know what? You missed it. You know, Matthews is up so much, Mitch Marner's up so much. If you think in playoffs could be a catalyst for propelling them higher, then certainly that's up to you to make that decision. But for the most part right now, these cards that are up, the decision, you know, the opportunity's been missed. So it's important. What excites me more is the cards that are down. The cards that are down are where the opportunity is. And so we're going to take a look at that, and I'll talk a little bit more as we get into it. But, you know, the Kucherov and the Toews, I'm really happy to get them at a lower price point. Maybe summer would have been a better time to buy. I didn't want to let the Toews go because the condition was just too good. And the Kucherov, like I said, with the individual knowing the condition of it, I wasn't going to wait a couple months and try and get it at a lower price. It was perfectly fine to purchase. But let's get into it. All right, so first off, thanks again to Market Movers for letting me do this. You know, they're loading hockey cards in more and more every single week. And, you know, even if you're into the vintage, there's lots of vintage stuff. I'm going to do a vintage episode, actually, because I know there's vintage guys out there, and, you know, want to show them some of that stuff too. And even the guys who don't do vintage, maybe it's just something you want to have a look at. You can look from the outside. It's always nice to see it in a graph. So I'm definitely going to do that. But right now we're going to focus on the modern guys for this episode. Take a look at Austin Matthews. He only has a PSA 10 in here. We don't have a raw card for him, but exactly what you expect. Again, Marner's still on pace. They've slowed down a little bit, but he's got 31 points in 23 games, 18 goals. Looking good. Again, you know, like I said, this opportunity's been missed. If you think he's going to skyrocket in the playoffs, then, you know, feel free. You do you. To me, I think you know, there's going to be an opportunity in the summertime where you can grab this card for a lot lower of a price than it is right now, and that even if they win the Stanley Cup. Like, remember, Sports Card Investor had a really great video, and I'll stop here just for a second to make the point, because I think it's a really important one. Is leading up to the Super Bowl, and this isn't just one example, we see this over and over again. Leading up to the Super Bowl, you had Patrick Mahomes and you had Tom Brady cards that everybody was scooping up and wanting to buy. And it turns out that the pattern that you see is the hype leading up and the rise in the card leading up is more than the increase after the Super Bowl. We already know what Tom Brady is. You know, Patrick Mahomes, maybe not so much. But what happened was those cards rise on the hype leading up to the Super Bowl, and everyone wants to buy them. Everyone wants a little piece, you know, sort of like a DFS type of play. You know, you want to hold a little piece of Brady or you want to hold a little piece of Mahomes. Anyways, regardless of who wins, what we know happens after, and what we've seen in the data, is after the Super Bowl, and we saw it after the Stanley Cup last year as well, is prices just fall off. People don't care about hockey anymore. They don't care about football anymore. So there was a really small spike after the Super Bowl, and then prices come back down. And we saw the exact same thing in the NHL last year, where Braden Point was worth a lot more leading up, and while people were hyping him and you know, talking about him for the Conn Smythe and yada yada, and it turns out, you know, it really didn't matter if he won the cup or not. The point being is the smart money is just going to sell, you know, once they're in the Stanley Cup there, and his price had ultimately peaked. So keep that in mind if you're holding an Austin Matthews. If it's for your PC, then you can ignore all of this, because your PC you're just going to hold, and like, that's fine. Like, I have cards I'm just going to hold. I don't care if the Avs win the Stanley Cup. I'm not selling McKinnon rookies. But anyways, so keep that in mind if you're looking for a flipping opportunity where you did get Matthews at a good price and you're looking to maybe sell him. But Matthews continuing to see the increase. Next, we'll take a look at Alex DeBrincat. So Alex DeBrincat, we'll ignore his PSA 10. Seen a good little spike. I have a good story here. I don't know. I would have to look at. I don't know if I mentioned him on this show, but I watched the opening game of Chicago play, the first game of the season, and Jonathan Toews was out, and they had the new guys, but they weren't up the roster yet. Anyways, after watching the one game, I watched Alex DeBrincat play, and knew he would slot in somewhere in the top 6. And after watching the first game, I went out and bought a chunk of these on ComC at under $15 per piece. And I think they're up over 30. Well, we can take a look here. I mean, what the price roughly at. So he's up around $40 right now. I was just watching one game. That's not me being a pro. I mean, I liked what I saw, but I got lucky with that too. But Alex DeBrincat, I don't know. You going to buy him now? You going to buy him at $40? I don't know. I mean, that's going to be up to you, but he's gone up, and we'll see where he goes. He's got 14 goals, 14 assists, 28 points. 28 points in 22 games. Jesus, I didn't even realize he was that high. Yeah, 14 goals in 22 games. Good for Alex DeBrincat, and God, that price may continue to climb if he keeps up at that pace. But that's Alex DeBrincat. Next one we'll take a look at is Jonathan Huberdeau, who is a little bit interesting too, because I didn't think that I would see an increase. I just happened to have a few of these because I really like Jonathan Huberdeau. I didn't buy it because I thought it was an investment card and a card that I'd be selling off, which I am now. I've sold 3 of them at over $60 Canadian. And, you know, he's seen a nice little increase. He's obviously playing really well too. He has 29 points in 24 games. He's got 10 goals. But I didn't expect to see this more veteran type of player with an increase. But Jonathan Huberdeau playing well, and, you know, seeing an increase there. Next card, if you watched one of my videos back, I don't know which one it was. It was maybe Opportunities, a top 3 or something. I talked about Jordan Kairu back at the start of the year. You know, he was down below at the $5 mark. I think on ComC he was about $4.50, and I said there may be an opportunity there. And now he's up at around $20. So Jordan Kairu, he's got 20 points in 26 games. He's got 8 goals. So you might want to, you know, depending on what you want to do, you could maybe liquidate some of those Kairus if you have, or know that he's on his way up. Remember, these cards have no value until they sell them. So when Jordan Kairu gets knocked out of the playoffs and the summertime comes, you're going to be able to buy him for cheap again. I promise. So think about it. You have to take the money when the price is up. Otherwise, it doesn't even matter if the price is up. Right? If you're not selling, if you don't ever take that money, the price is pretty much irrelevant. The price only matters when you're going to sell. So keep that in mind. Next one, Drake Batherson, 22-year-old. He's seen a really nice increase. Back at the start of the season, he was at, you know, $7, and he's up at around the $42 mark. I mean, I'm selling every Batherson I have. I actually only have one, a silver foil that's on its way to PSA, but I would be selling my Bathersons. He's 22. If you believe in him, you hold him. But he's seen a nice increase, so this might be a really good opportunity at about, you know, $55+ or whatever Canadian to maybe take a buck off the table. If you have more than one, I think it makes the decision a lot harder. I sort of assume that people have more than one, and, you know, it just gives you a little bit more. It gives you some more options in terms of what you want to do. Like me having a pile of Rantanins, I'll sell them off slowly as the price goes up. You know, with Batherson, this is certainly a point where I'd be trying to liquidate a portion of my Bathersons if I had a portion of them. But Connor Mcmichael. Next one we'll take a look at, Connor Mcmichael. So Connor Mcmichael, we're moving over to actually the players who are down. So Connor Mcmichael has fallen, you know, pretty high volume there, lots of trades, lots of buying and selling, because, you know, he's the part of the Series 1 2021, and he's just moving. But you take a look at where he's sitting right now. I mean, there was a sale down here. God, what's his sale at? $9 US for Connor Mcmichael. Not in the league yet, but I thought it was a little bit interesting that he's trading down. So if this is more interesting to me, do I want to load up on Connor Mcmichael's? Well, I actually don't at this point. I have a few of them, but I'm okay with what I have. But I look at this as more of an opportunity than looking at Drake Batherson. I would almost give Drake Batherson more time and really see where Ottawa goes, especially into next year, and where he sits in the lineup. You know, those are the things that I'm thinking about, and this can maybe help you make a decision. Maybe you didn't know Connor Mcmichael was quite that low. So So that's Connor Mcmichael. Svetch, seen a little fall, so he's down at about $72, so that's, you know, close to $100 Canadian. Not too significant of a fall, down from 120, which is about $160, but, you know, definitely down. Again, this is another, I would look at this as an opportunity. Do I want to buy more Svetch? I think I got enough of him. He's down, so if you are looking for a Svetch, he's got 8 goals, 12 assists, 20 points in 24 games, so he's not hitting that point per game, and maybe the market's just getting a little bit tired of it, and they want to see him really blow out. He's got you know, Martin Necas, another guy if you want to look at someone over there. Necas off to a great start. Sebastian Aho, like, they got good things going on, and Carolina's record shows it. Maybe that talent is just being spread. I know Svetch has moved down the lineup. Carolina actually has 3 really good lines, so that doesn't help versus him playing with Teravainen and Aho like he did last year. Maybe that's why the points are down very slightly, but, you know, they're barely down. It's negligible. I still believe in Svetch long term, but having said that, I did sell a couple at the 120 Canadian mark, so it's down from that spot. And I still have more to go, and we'll see what happens with Svetch. Braden Point, this last sale, it's actually come up from where it was, but this is a guy who, we'll take a look at the raw in there too. I'll take the 10 out. So he's trended very slightly downward. I mean, he stayed somewhat level, but this might be a guy who's stayed at a spot where this might be a playoff play that you want to make. If you want to get a few of those points, because we know he got the attention last year. You know, that's the way I'm thinking of Braden Point right now. I've thought a lot about buying PSA 9s or PSA 10s. I would just rather have more 9s than 10s, but I think PSA 10s would certainly be a perfectly fine play for Braden Point. I expect that Tampa Bay is gonna you know, go some distance into the playoffs again, and I know I saw last year that Point's gotten the attention. So with him staying relatively flat, you know, that this would be a card that I would be considering and am considering. So we'll see with Braden Point. Kairu Yamamoto, Yama. So he's down. So is that good or bad? I don't know. What do you think? 7 goals, 7 assists. He's got 14 points, 27 games. Tonight, he just got put back on the line. It was Draisaitl, McDavid, and Yamamoto. So he's down. Do you see more opportunity with that line? You know, that's something I would be considering. I'm not going to be considering this at this point, but you know, this is still more enticing than looking at someone who's blasted off. And you know, I feel like I've missed the boat. You haven't missed the boat on Yamamoto if you think that he can really excel and stay up that lineup and produce ultimately. Being up the lineup, I know he was playing second line with Draisaitl for a good chunk, if not all. I don't watch all the Edmonton games, but he's got to put up the points too. And playing with Draisaitl, you should be. So that's Yamamoto. Take a look at Elias Patterson. Where do we got him here? So we'll take a look at his PSA 10 come down, his raw value. We'll take a look more at just the raw. So he was floating around. This was the area a lot of people I really think he was moving. Remember, this data doesn't show every single sale. It's highly filtered, but it gives you a good idea of what's going on. So people really can't figure out a price of Patterson, but it looks like he's down at about the $130 mark. He's come up. He's picked it up, you know, from his 1 point in his first 7 games or whatever he had there. He's got 21 points in 26 games, and he's got 10 goals in 26 games. So that's 30 plus goal pace in a normal hockey season. So nothing wrong with where he's going there, considering a slow start. But Elias Patterson sat relatively flat, so maybe, you know, selling almost at the same price, almost the exact same price that he was at the start of the season. So do you think Patterson's going to take off? I don't think the playoff play is going to be there. It doesn't look like Vancouver's going to get there, but anyways, something you might want to consider. Kirby Dock, not an injury bug. He hurt himself at the World Juniors, but, you know, he was starting to spike at the World Juniors here. You know, this whole line here is the World Junior hype, and he was coming up, then he got hurt and he didn't play, and he sort of sat still. But everyone was buying those things up like it was nobody's business. So if you think that Kirby Dock's going to be the guy, you know, I think he's at a decent price right now. and maybe something that you want to consider. Obviously no games played, so no stats for him. Next, take a look at Dominic Kubilik. So a guy who I thought at the start of the year was, I was pretty excited about. He's a natural goal scorer. He's done it everywhere, as I said in another video, I'm sure, but he's sat relatively flat, price a little bit all over the place, but for the most part, it's just a flat price. And, you know, they're getting production over there from Pius Suter and my boy Kurashev. Take a look at him. I think there's opportunity there, but you know, that Chicago team is better, I think, than people thought, especially considering they're missing Taves. And Kubelik's just, you know, he has to share it a little bit now, and they're rolling 3 lines, and you know, maybe that's why he's down. He's also 25, so this is what I'm saying. As much as I like Dominic Kubilik, some of the guys who are down or aren't going up just aren't going to do it, because there's just not enough attention to spread to everyone. And Dominic Kubilik, as much as I like him, I'm completely indifferent in the sense that I don't care, and I'm just not going to load up on him anymore. You know, I'm not going to load up on this guy saying, oh, Aaron, you know he's good. No, like, it doesn't matter. If the market doesn't care about Dominic Kubilik, the market doesn't care about Dominic Kubilik, so I'm not going to load up on him. But great player anyways. And I don't know, I don't think I'd be buying any more Kubaliks. I got a few here, I got some at PSA, and I'll likely just sell them. I'll keep one for my PC, and we'll move on from Dominic Kubilik. I'm not sure that he's going to see a whole lot of attention. If Chicago can make a run, you know, maybe that changes. Maybe he lights it up in the playoffs. I don't know. But Dominic Kubilik sat pretty flat. Jesperi Kotkaniemi, I really like this kid. I like his game. Centerman. He was, you know, Nick Suzuki's sort of taken all the attention. And Kotkaniemi has 12 points, 2 goals in 24 games. But again, relatively flat, not moving. The market just doesn't seem to really care about him. They're just selling at the going Kotkaniemi price. But having said that, you know, maybe he's someone you look at. He could be a Montreal Canadiens player who, depending on what happens in the playoffs, will see a decrease over the summer, and maybe that creates a really good buying opportunity, because it doesn't look like he's going to take off anytime soon. We're already at the point now where we're halfway through the season. Teams have played 28 games. 28 games is exactly halfway through the 56-game schedule. Even though it feels like we're just getting going, it's really weird, but we're halfway through. So Kotkaniemi likely gonna be an off-season buy if you wanna, you know, take a look at him and maybe invest in him. So Carter Hart, we were looking at him back over here, and he's been bouncing around, you know, trending downward. The guy's got an 893 save percentage. Still can't get above 900, and he has played 11, 14 games. I know Elliott's getting the starts. I think they're sort of bouncing back and forth. I don't know, but Carter Hart, again, this is a situation where I would be more likely to buy Carter Hart when he's down versus over here where everybody wants to buy Carter Harts, and he's just goes from $60 to $80 to $100 to $100 or whatever price this is, $115. It's a little bit more reasonable now. But again, even with Philadelphia, this might be a situation where you want to wait until the summertime. I don't know. His price is falling, but we'll watch Carter Hart, right? Last player we will take a look at is Alexi Lafreniere. So sort of interesting what's gone on with him. Again, we were looking at him free falling over here a month ago, so we were watching this go on. So this is sort of the new Lafreniere. And I talked in another video too about how markets sort of set arbitrary bottoms, and you're sort of seeing it here. So even going back to here, there were a couple sales at 148 and 147 US dollars. And you're seeing the exact same floor here. So you have 165, 152, 151, 151. So the market has sort of decided that they don't want it. Once the price hits 151 or $150, people feel like they have to buy him. So it feels like the market set that bottom. He's picked it up a little bit. You know, he's got 4 goals now, 3 assists, 7 points in 23 games. I've gone out of my way to watch the Rangers play, and he you barely see him on the ice. Like I'm giving the kid time. Like I advocated for him the last video that I made, but it's tough. I'll keep watching and see what happens. And this year I'll basically write off, and we'll see what happens next year. I also think that the Rangers are doing a garbage job in terms of bumping him down. He's getting moved down to the third line and not getting minutes, just getting shuffled down. You know, he should be getting a good 16 minutes a game, 18 minutes a game, and being on the third line, I don't think he's getting that. I would have to look at the data just to see, but I don't know. You know, he's warmed up. At least he's starting to put some points on the board. So if he puts up points and you can't notice him, he's doing something right, as long as he's putting the points up. So I guess we're gonna watch and see, but it looks like I said, that there's sort of a floor of $150 here on Alexi Lafreniere. Anyways, guys, that's who's up, that's who's down. So check me out, Lapper Flips on Instagram, LAPP3R30_flips. Hit that like button, subscribe. You know, again, thank you all very much. I appreciate it so much. Thanks for watching my videos. I get such positive feedback, and it makes me feel great about doing these things, even though I feel like I ramble and do this. Take a look at the guys who are down. There's opportunity there. Some of them are just going to be, you know, at the end of the day, some of the garbage is just that. It's the garbage. That's for you to decide. Those are the decisions I'm making, but maybe this will just give you a different perspective and something to think about. So again, guys, thank you and stay safe.